Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm diving into a mystery that has haunted one family and a community for decades. The unexplained disappearance of the Sodder children. It's a story filled with tragedy, unanswered questions, and eerie twists that still send shivers down the spine. Let's go back to Christmas Eve in 1945 to Fayetteville, West Virginia. The Sodder family was like many others at the time. George and Jenny Sodder had 10 children and lived in a two-story house. George, originally from Italy, was a successful businessman but outspoken in his criticism of Mussolini, which didn't sit well with everyone in the local Italian-American community. That detail will come up again later. Now picture this. It's Christmas Eve and the family is celebrating. The younger children were excited. Some had just opened presents, and the house was alive with holiday cheer. But by the early hours of Christmas morning, their home was reduced to ashes in a devastating fire. George and Jenny managed to escape with 4 of their children, but 5 were trapped inside, or so everyone thought. Here's where things get strange. After the fire burned out, investigators sifted through the ashes and found nothing. No bones, no remains, nothing that could confirm the deaths of the missing children. Experts later pointed out that even in intense fires, some evidence of bones should remain. But here, it was as if they had vanished into thin air. And that's just the beginning. The family soon began to notice a series of suspicious events that couldn't be ignored. First, George's ladder, which he had planned to use to rescue the children, was missing. It was later found tossed into a nearby ditch. His trucks, which he tried to start to climb to the upper windows, mysteriously wouldn't work, despite being in perfect condition the day before. Even the fire itself seemed suspicious. Jenny recalled hearing something hit the roof before the blaze began, like a thud or a rolling sound. Could it have been an incendiary device? And then there's the phone call. Late that night, while the fire raged, the family received a strange call from a woman asking for someone they didn't know. Jenny described her as laughing oddly before hanging up. A random coincidence? Or something more sinister? In the days and weeks that followed, the Sodders became convinced their children hadn't died in the fire. They'd been kidnapped. Over the years, they received leads that only deepened the mystery. Witnesses claimed to have seen the missing children. One reported seeing them with unfamiliar adults at a hotel. Another thought they were spotted in a car traveling out of the area. And then, there's the most chilling clue. In 1967, more than 20 years after the fire, Jenny received a photograph in the mail. It was of a young man who bore a striking resemblance to her son Louis. On the back was a cryptic message. Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. Little boys. A 90132 or 35. It was as if someone was taunting the family or trying to send them a message. The Sodders never gave up searching for their children. For decades, they kept a billboard up near their home, asking for any information. It showed pictures of the missing children and a plea for answers. George and Jenny died without ever learning the truth, but their surviving children carried on the investigation. There are so many theories about what happened. Some believe the children were abducted as part of a grudge against George, maybe tied to his outspoken views. Others think organized crime could have been involved. And then there's the idea that the fire was accidental, but the investigation was botched, leaving the family clinging to false hope. Whatever the truth is, it remains a haunting mystery. How could 5 children disappear without a trace? Was the fire a cover-up? Or were they taken by someone with a sinister motive? So what do you think? Let me know your theories in the comments. Do you think the Sodder children were kidnapped? Or could there be a more rational explanation? Either way, it's a story that reminds us how some questions remain unanswered, even after decades of searching. The Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California, stands as a true enigma. This sprawling mansion is famous for its labyrinthine design. Twisting hallways, staircases that lead to nowhere, and doors that open into solid walls. It was the creation of Sarah Winchester, a woman shrouded in mystery and tragedy. Sarah was the widow of William Wirt Winchester, the man behind the Winchester rifle, a weapon that forever changed the world. After losing both her husband and her only child, Sarah was consumed by grief. But it wasn't just sorrow that haunted her. She believed she was being tormented by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles. To escape this curse, Sarah embarked on a relentless construction project. For 38 years, day and night, the mansion grew. There were no blueprints, no definitive plans, just Sarah's visions and instructions. She believed that by continuously building, she could appease the spirits and perhaps confuse them enough to find some measure of peace. The results were extraordinary. Staircases wind upward into ceilings, leading nowhere. Doors open into walls or even to sudden drops outside. Some rooms are oddly shaped, with windows built into the floor and secret passageways hidden behind panels. It said that every architectural choice had a purpose, though only Sarah knew the true reasons behind them. Over the years, stories of hauntings have become inseparable from the mansion's history. Visitors often speak of unexplained phenomena. There are whispers of footsteps echoing through the halls when no one is there, doors creaking open on their own, and cold spots in certain rooms. Some have even claimed to see shadowy figures or the fleeting presence of Sarah herself. Many believe that Sarah Winchester's spirit remains in the house, endlessly wandering the halls she designed. Others see the mansion as a physical representation of her grief, her fear, and her struggle to cope with the weight of her past. Whether or not you believe the legends, the Winchester Mystery House is undeniably fascinating. It stands as both a monument to human creativity and a chilling reminder of the lengths to which one person might go to find solace from the unknown. It leaves us with questions that may never be answered. Was Sarah Winchester a brilliant architect of her own protection, or was she a woman consumed by her fears, forever haunted by what she could not control? It was November 17, 1996. I was 21 years old and on my way home to Harnai to visit my grandparents in the Konkan region. Leaving Mumbai late in the afternoon, I faced an unexpected delay due to a flat tire. By the time I approached Mandangad on the inner, more secluded route to Anjarl, it was 11:30 p.m. As I drove along the quiet road, I noticed a girl waving to stop my car. Surprised, I pulled over. She was about 15 or 16, wearing a salwar kameez, her dupatta wrapped tightly against the cold. Her calm demeanor and sweet appearance were striking. She asked if I could drop her at Anjarl, explaining she'd missed the last bus and needed to return home for school the next morning. With Anjarl on my route and the prospect of some company during the lonely drive, I agreed. As we drove, she introduced herself as Ratna and shared her story. She had been visiting her uncle in Mandangad, but he'd fallen ill, delaying her departure. We chatted on various topics and soon we reached the outskirts of Anjarl. She asked me to stop near a beach with a small hill on one side. When I offered to walk her home for safety, she refused with an eerie finality, saying, "I'll meet you again sometime." Then, she disappeared into the darkness. When I reached my grandparents' house and recounted the incident, they were alarmed. That area, they warned, was rumored to be haunted. Still skeptical of such things, I dismissed their concerns. A few days later, while at Anjarl Beach with friends, I encountered a local man who lived near the very hill where Ratna had disappeared. He revealed that his daughter, Ratna, had died in a car accident at that spot 10 years ago. Shaken, I visited his home and saw her photograph on the wall, confirming it was the same girl. It was November 17th, the anniversary of her death. Over the years, Ratna appeared to me several more times, each encounter as surreal as the first. On one occasion, she appeared on the exact date and time of our first meeting. She calmly entered my car and answered my many questions about the afterlife. She explained that she was in Buverloch, a realm where souls reside before transitioning. Her appearances were limited, bound by rules I could scarcely comprehend. During another encounter, she appeared on my terrace and warned me against purchasing an apartment. Following her advice, I later discovered the property's dark history, which might have brought misfortune to my family. Her protective nature during these encounters suggested a deeper connection between us, though she never disclosed its origin. Ratna's guidance and insights about the afterlife were profound. She explained how spirits like her existed in an ethereal form and how they occasionally interacted with the mortal world. She told me about her tasks, helping recently departed souls transition into their new existence. Her calm and matter-of-fact way of describing such mysterious concepts left me both intrigued and comforted. Her appearances, however, weren't always predictable. On some visits, she would share fragments of her life before her death, revealing her dreams, aspirations, and the relationships she cherished. These glimpses into her personality made her feel more real and human, despite her ethereal existence. On other occasions, her visits were brief and purposeful, as if she came solely to deliver a message before vanishing into the night. One of the most memorable encounters was when she appeared to me at a quiet temple near my grandparents' home. It was a serene evening, and the place was deserted except for the gentle rustling of leaves in the wind. As I sat lost in thought, Ratna appeared, her calm aura blending with the tranquil surroundings. She spoke of the balance between the realms of the living and the dead, emphasizing the importance of compassion and understanding. Her words felt like wisdom from another plane of existence, leaving me deeply reflective. The last time I saw Ratna was September 10th, 2005. She told me her time in this realm had ended, and she was moving on to a different existence. She blessed me and disappeared, never to return. Ratna's visits left an indelible mark on my life. Her presence, calm yet otherworldly, challenged my understanding of reality. Though I never saw her again, I hope she found peace. To this day, I wonder what bond drew her to me and why she chose to share her journey beyond death with me. Her lessons about life, death, and the unknown continue to resonate with me, shaping my perspective on the mysteries of existence. Perhaps, in some way, she was a guide meant to teach me about the thin veil that separates our world from hers. I was about 4 or 5 years old when it happened. My parents had just separated, and my mom and I were living in a small 2-bedroom apartment. It was on the first floor, modest but enough for the two of us. I had my own room, but more often than not, I preferred to sleep in my mom's bed whenever I stayed with her. It made me feel safe, especially with everything being so new and uncertain after the separation. Our bedrooms were at the end of a narrow hallway, directly across from each other. It was summer, and I remember the air was warm and still. My mom had the window behind her bed open, just above the headboard, letting in a faint breeze. I don't know why I woke up that night, but I did. The first thing I noticed was our cat, sitting in the doorframe of my mom's bedroom. That was strange because our cat was usually in bed with us, curled up at our feet. I sat up slowly, watching the cat. It was staring into my room across the hall. Then, after what felt like forever, but was probably only a few seconds, it stood and walked into my bedroom. It meowed, a quiet but sharp sound that made my stomach twist for reasons I couldn't understand. I turned to my mom and nudged her awake. "Mom," I whispered, my voice shaking even though I didn't know why. It took her only a few seconds to wake up, groggy but alert. "What's wrong?" she asked. But before I could answer, we both looked back toward the door. Standing in the doorway, just where my cat had been, was a man. He wasn't moving fast, just stepping out of my bedroom, his figure silhouetted by the dim light from the hall. I froze, unable to speak, unable to breathe. My mom didn't hesitate. Before I even registered what was happening, she grabbed me and, in one swift motion, threw me out of the open window behind the bed. It was only a 3-foot drop to the ground below, but the suddenness of it all left me stunned. I hit the grass and rolled, and before I could cry out, my mom was climbing out after me. She was yelling for help, her voice breaking through the stillness of the night. Lights came on in neighboring apartments, and I heard someone calling 911. The police arrived quickly, but there wasn't much they could do. They didn't find any signs of forced entry, just the front door unlocked. That's what scared my mom the most. She was sure she had locked it, deadbolt and chain. She swore up and down that the door had been secure before we went to bed. A week later, my mom was cleaning the kitchen when she opened the water heater closet. Inside, she found something that made her blood run cold. A notebook filled with names and drawings, a pair of gloves, and some gum wrappers. She called the police again, and this time they told her what she had already started to piece together. That the man must have been inside our apartment all along, hiding somewhere, maybe even in that closet, waiting for us to fall asleep. Even now, the memory is a blur of fear and adrenaline. But one thing is clear. My mom's quick thinking saved us that night. I don't like to think about what could have happened if she hadn't acted so fast, if she hadn't trusted her instincts. That night left a scar, a permanent reminder that safety isn't guaranteed, even in the places you call home. Thanks for watching the video. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos.